Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan Begin here with another awesome muscle building, fat loss interview, and this one's with my buddy Yuri Elkaim,
Yeah.
right? Yuri
Okay.
Elkaim from Canada. And if you're on my list, you know that I've been mailing about his product, the Total Wellness Cleanse, now for the last 2 days. And I really want to just get him on the line here and do this little interview to kind of clear everything. Says I'm a big muscle building guy, so the thought of doing a fat loss cleanse it doesn't resonate with me. So it's like, I wanted to get on, and I know some people may be thinking the same thing. But to start things off, Yuri, give me your background. I know you're a professional strength and conditioning coach for soccer, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's one of my things I actually stepped away from. So I have a background in kinesiology. Went back to school and studied holistic nutrition. I had my own health issues for a number of years. I had an autoimmune condition that's the medical, doctors said there was no cure for, and I basically reversed it all through food and a lot of the stuff we talked about in the cleanse program. But I also played professional soccer. About 24 years of my life was all about soccer, high performance athletics. So I can definitely relate to the people that are following you, because for me it's not just about what I realized was that I was fit, but I was not healthy. So I was training twice a day. I was, lifting weights. I'm not a huge guy, but I'm definitely fit. I can do 50 pull-ups in a row, 200 push-ups in a row. So, I'll train a lot of guys, but you can be fit and unhealthy. And I was that way for probably about 25 years of my life. And the kind of stuff that we talk about in the cleanse is not about, leading into muscle wasting and stuff like that. It's about supporting your body so that it can do what it's supposed to do more effectively. And so that's a brief rundown of my background. I was a strength and conditioning coach and the nutrition coach for men's soccer at the University of Toronto for 7 years. Took guys for in their college years going to McDonald's and Burger King before practice and after games, and transitioning them into some more whole foods, smoothies, and that kind of thinking. And it made a huge difference for our guys in terms of injury prevention. Guys weren't getting sick during the season, during the flu season and stuff. So it made a huge difference. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking to build muscle or lose weights. Obviously, from a calorie perspective, it's going to make a difference. But the principles are pretty similar.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of obviously the obvious benefits that I see is it's January 2nd now, and everybody's got their New Year's papers in hand, like this is the routine I'm doing, and it's like the perfect time to just prime your body for like a year of growth. How often do you recommend people do a cleanse of some sort? Like is it like a one time a year thing? Is it like a multiple times per year or
That's a good question. The thing is, detoxification is a process that happens in the human body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't even think about it right now. All of your cells and your liver are detoxifying all these toxins and chemicals from the foods you eat, from everything you're breathing and digesting, and that's happening all the time. So cleansing is it's a more structured process to help your body's detoxification to work more optimally. And I would recommend at the minimum once a year, because now's the time where everyone is more gung-ho than ever.
Yeah.
So that ride the momentum and that motivation to make some changes for the better. The way I also talk, for me, I'm not a huge fan of cleansing. To be honest, the rap that it's gotten in I guess in the market is that it's all about powders and pills and supplements and crazy fad diets, and I'm totally against that stuff. So I'm with it. If anyone feels the same way, believe me, I'm there with you. Our cleanse is really about food. We show you how to improve your health on all levels through food, and that's something you can do on a daily basis. The recipes that we have in the cleanse, for the most part, are plant-based. So that kind of scares off a lot of guys. They're thinking, well, if I'm not eating enough protein and all this kind of stuff. But the reality is that we have a lot of guys who have gone through the program, and even like myself, this is the way I eat on a regular basis. Even if I don't follow the cleanse to a T, I'm still incorporating a lot of the recipes in the meals, like the black bean chili or the tomato and lentil dal. We make sure that there are adequate, you're definitely getting adequate portion sizes. And when it comes to building muscle or losing muscle, it's really about calories. Right? Protein's important, but if you're eating 4,000 calories a day, which you can do on our cleanse through the recipes we provide, and you're strength training at the same time, there's no reason you're going to be losing muscle. So, you can cleanse and be healthy and fit and strong all at the same time. So to answer your question, I would say once a year at the minimum, and then looking at ways to do it on a daily basis just by eating healthier.
Well, one of the things and I actually started doing one of your smoothie recipes with Alex, our mutual friend Alex Morocco told me about it, and he got me hooked on like the spinach and the kale and in the smoothie. And I'm like, I love, I don't do as much as I should, but I need to get back on that. But it's like I love that thing. It tastes good. It's one of the recipes out of your Eating for Energy book, which is like another awesome product that you have. But one thing that just like you said, and most people don't get enough fruits and vegetables anyways. So, just that addition alone to like a decent muscle building diet, if you just focused on that, would obviously cleanse your body and be more optimal in itself.
Well, here's just let me add something to that, because for guys who are built, like if you're training hard, if you're building muscle, that's a full-time job. I remember 2 years ago at this time of year, I set a goal for myself to gain 15 pounds in 8 weeks, so 2 months. And I've never really been motivated to gain weight just because it's not something that's really viscerally motivated me. Mm-hmm. But I put on 8 pounds in 4 weeks, and then I just stopped because I just figured, hey, this is not a meaningful goal for me. And what was really cumbersome for me was eating all the time. I was eating all day long, nonstop. And the thing is that I was, trying to do that in a healthy manner, which I did. Mm-hmm. So I put on 8 pounds of muscle in 4 weeks by training properly and eating a clean diet. And again, it comes back to calories. But what you said about fruits and vegetables is really important, because I think a lot of people in the muscle building realm think it's all about protein and meat and stuff like that. But the reality is that that's important to a degree. But when you train, you're creating a lot of free radical damage inside your body. Mm-hmm. And it's just a byproduct of energy production. So you produce free radicals. Your cells have glutathione, which is a very important antioxidant, to buffer that stuff out. Otherwise, they'll damage your DNA, rip apart your cells, and lead to excessive muscle soreness. From a health perspective, you get into aging issues and cancerous growths and stuff like that over time. But eating fruits and vegetables is a very simple way to counteract that. And there's some studies that have actually shown that a higher intake of fruits and vegetables lowers or reduces post-exercise muscle soreness or delayed onset muscle soreness. So that's I don't know if that's a significant benefit, but it's just one more kind of reminder that we need to be eating these fruits and vegetables because they provide so many compounds that enable us to recover from exercise properly. And that's one of the biggest things that I found personally. When I played professional soccer, I was eating breads, pastas, cereals, lots of animal protein, and I was sore and tired all the time. Unfortunately, I started to learn about proper nutrition after I finished playing, and I still
works out.
I still play competitively, but not obviously at the professional level. But now that I'm eating cleaner, I'm still training as hard, I'm still playing as well, and I'm recovering so much faster. So it's it's a great benefit to have.
Yeah, talk to me about the 50 pull-ups. The 50 pull-ups is awesome. How long have you been training? Was that a goal? Like I want to do 50 consecutive pull-ups, or
pretty much. Like I just got tired with my I have a very tough time doing the same workout over and over again. So I needed something more enticing for me. So what I started to do is I started to challenge myself on my workouts, and I said, okay, well, in any given workout, and I've been doing this for 5 weeks now. So in any given workout, I basically have 4 exercises that I do. I do kettlebell front squats, which is an amazingly challenging exercise if you use heavy enough weight.
Oh yeah.
So I'll do a superset of kettlebell front squats with pull-ups, and everything is to maximum reps. So my goal initially within, for instance, the first workout I did was I said, okay, well, let's use 2 24-kilogram kettlebells, and let's go for 10 reps. So I'm pretty much maxing out. I can't do any more. On the pull-ups, I'm basically going in with the goal of saying, okay, let's do 15 pull-ups, and then the next set I'll try to get to 15, and then keep trying to get to 15. And I just did that for about 5 weeks, and now I'm at 50 pull-ups.
That's awesome.
And it's incredible. So the other 2 exercises are kettlebell swings with a heavy kettlebell, and kind of pseudo depth push-ups, so between 2 steps, just to get a little bit more range of motion, so a little bit more pump in the chest. So that's my workout regime for the past 4.5 weeks.
It sounds like I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Mahler, but it sounds like a program that he would put for himself. I always follow his stuff because he does a lot with he's a huge believer in heavy kettlebells, and the dual heavy kettlebells, man, will tear you up if you're not capable or work up to them.
Oh yeah, dude, if you don't do that, there are points in that exercise, just the front squat, where you feel if you're not bracing your core properly, you feel like your torso is going to just snap off. It's such an amazing exercise. and obviously for the legs and the whole bit. So yeah,
That's awesome, man. With 50 pull-ups, congrats. I mean, that's it. I did. I mean, I weigh right now about 213, and I just I did 10 sets of 10 pull-ups yesterday, and
awesome.
like I feel like I'm gonna die today. I'm like, oh, my back's so.
I know, but the other, like my goal is like I'm not too concerned about the visual impact of how my body looks, but I'm more motivated, for instance, by gymnasts. And like if you look at a gymnast and you look at their arms, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So I'm thinking, how muscular and strong can I get my arms just by doing pull-ups? And so that's been my goal. And I'm more motivated by, for instance, holding an iron cross than
awesome.
A pose down. So that's just me. But I think if you can take elements of how they train, you're naturally just going to look amazing as a result of that as well.
Yeah, exactly, and especially, I mean, just the density that those guys, that gymnasts have is huge, and totally. That's like, look, everybody wants that look, but nobody realizes how long that takes to get that look. So,
and it's a bit more impressive than doing bicep curls, right?
I agree. I mean, I'm big on, like, I go through phases. Like right now, like I got kind of like out of shape and lazy for like 6 months. So like for the last 12 weeks, I'm in like real stickers, but I've been doing mostly bodybuilding stuff, and it's like. I miss just like, I'm just going to do pull-ups today.
It's a nice change too. So if you're doing your typical bodybuilding stuff and then, one of your workouts is just body weight type of stuff and you can really challenge yourself and see where you're at. It's a fun change.
Yeah, Dev, I've never done the consecutive push-up test. I think I'm going to try that out my next chest day. Because one of our friends, Mike Westerdahl, has a bench for reps program, and I want to see I want to see how many push-ups I can do in a row before I do the bench for reps program. So I'm going to be like, just to see. I should be able to get 100. I'm hoping. I don't know. We'll see. but back to the cleanse and things of that nature. We had talked about a little bit like about the demasculinity of men and the foods we eat are basically turning men into women. And I mean, I can 100% relate to that because I deal with like gynecomastia, and I always have since I was little. And it's the most annoying thing in the world, especially, and it just seems like, a lot of people have it that shouldn't have it. And I'm just like, it's like food base is causing a lot of these problems. So talk a little bit about that and how like just a basic cleanse can kind of prime you to, healthy eating.
Yeah, this is an area that I would say 99% of men have no idea about. And that's why I'm kind of revealing it. I'm happy you asked me about that. So I briefly mentioned to you earlier that my brother recently had a blood test done at a naturopath when he was in Australia, and his blood test came back, and his levels of estrogen in his body, in his blood specifically, were 3 times higher than normal. Okay, and my brother went to see the naturopath because he was having some recurring anxiety issues, low energy, so. There's probably some other issues there as well, but 3 times higher levels of estrogen. That's crazy. The problem with estrogen is that, first of all, it's a female hormone, although men have it as well. But the level of estrogen to testosterone in the body should not be 3-to-1 estrogen. That's by no means a healthy range. Estrogen, the problem is that it's a pro-growth hormone, which means that if you have more estrogen in your body, you have a tendency or a higher likelihood of developing cysts and cancerous growths. So that's why, women who take postmenopausal women who take the hormone replacement therapy have a greater risk of developing breast cancer, for instance, because they're now injecting their bodies with more estrogen later on in life. But for men, the problem is that estrogen is very feminizing, right? If you have higher levels of estrogen, you can have all sorts of feminizing characteristics. We're seeing this now, for instance, in girls who are, developing puberty at 9 years old, as opposed to their early or mid-teens. Guys are developing, getting into puberty a little bit later. We're seeing, more guys that are more feminine nowadays than, perhaps in the past. And part of the reason is that about 50 years ago, the agricultural business and the big food conglomerates decided, well, you know what, we need to get more yield out of our animals. So they started pumping livestock, cattle, poultry, the whole bit, with hormones and antibiotics to reduce disease. For instance, a cow, to increase the amount of milk that it can produce on a consistent basis, right? So normally cows produce a certain amount of milk, and then they need a bit of recovery time, kind of like, you go to have a workout, you need a day off or so to recover. Well, they're pumping these cows with hormones, estrogenic hormones, which are enabling the cow to recover faster and pump out more milk. It's very unnatural. And the problem is that if you're drinking milk or you're eating the meat from the cows or the chickens or whatever else, you're ingesting those residues. And it's not like it's not going to happen. It's not going to impact you tomorrow. But if you're doing this for 10 years, 20 years, most of your life, it builds up in the body, right? If you drink water out of a plastic bottle, we know that plastics leach xenoestrogens, and xenoestrogens are kind of like fake estrogens that are found in plastics and other compounds, and they leach any kind of plastics. If you're heating plastic at all, if you use a microwave, if you put your Rubbermaid in a microwave, that's another source where we can leach plastic or the xenoestrogens out of the plastics. And when you consume these foods and you're exposed to this stuff for most of your life, it ends up residing in your body. And the problem is that these xenoestrogens are fat soluble, which means that they stay in your body. You don't pee them out. And here's where cleansing comes in, okay? Your liver is the most important detoxification organ in your body, okay? So it naturally, what it'll do if it's working properly is it will metabolize everything normally, okay? So it regulates hormone levels. It'll take excess estrogen, metabolize it, break it down, excrete it in your feces. When your liver is toxic as a result of eating a poor diet, living in a modern world where there's air and water pollution, all these chemicals in our foods, so we're all exposed to this. We can't avoid it. It's not to say that we need to be scared about this stuff, but we have to realize what's happening, because if your liver is toxic, which in most cases it is to some degree, your hormone levels are not being regulated properly. And so if you can cleanse your liver now is able to function more effectively and metabolize too much estrogen, take it out of the body, and regulate those hormone levels as needed to be. So that's something a lot of men don't think about, and rightfully so, because no one really talks about it. So hopefully this kind of shed some light onto that subject matter. And I think it's a really important one.
Yeah, and even just, I didn't really know, up until, like I said, a few months ago, I wasn't, I gave up, not gave up, I limited substantially my dairy and gluten intake. And I'm more so intolerant to dairy, because it's like the second I stopped eating cheese and sour cream, because I used to put that I used to put on everything, I stopped eating cheese and sour cream, and it was just bloating gone, and then solid poops again. It was wow, who would have thought of this? But it was but even still now, it's after being not really doing that for probably 12, 16 weeks now. I don't know the exact count of when I start change that, but just if I eat a slice of pizza, the next day I look I'm Stay Puft Marshmallow Guy. Just
totally.
And I'm just why did I do that? And it usually is somewhat related to drinking alcohol and eating pizza, so both together. But at the same point, it's I can physically see the difference in a day of just okay, I had cheese and sour cream on my Chipotle burrito last night, along with the tortilla, instead of just getting the meat and the vegetables like I normally get. So it's it's visually it's huge, and I don't think people understand that, just the bloating and the digestive issues just milk and dairy brings. I didn't do it till I thought I was invincible to dairy, and then it was just once I realized wow, that shit's really fucking me up. So.
Well, it's one of the foods that we recommend people avoid during the cleanse. So our cleanse, we have a 14-day cleanse phase, and during that 14 days, we recommend that our members avoid the allergenic and inflammatory foods. So those would include wheat, which is obviously contains gluten, most grains for that matter, dairy, sugar, alcohol, caffeine, animal protein in general, so meat and stuff. We recommend to stay away from for 14 days, just because it's very tough on the body to digest that all the time. So it's not to say that you have to become vegetarian forever, by no means. It's just during the 14-day cleanse phase, we ask that you just remove the meat for 14 days, just so it's more less congesting for the digestive system to work through all that stuff, and then you can reintroduce that stuff afterwards. But again, there's really no compromise in the amount of protein you're getting, because we have plenty of recipes that have nuts and seeds, legumes. You're getting tons of protein and enough calories for that matter. But the intolerances are huge. One of the biggest things that one of our main goals of the program is to help people overcome a lot of their cravings. And if you're intolerant to a food, if you have sensitivities to, if you crave a food, for instance, if you have sugar cravings, or if you crave dairy, yogurt, cheese, stuff like that, those are also signs of intolerances, because you often crave what you're most allergic to. So we help people simply by avoiding those foods and replacing with some great stuff instead. We literally purify the body so that you don't even feel like eating that stuff anymore. And when you have better options, it's awesome.
Well, I think too, and this goes back to, I mean, just coming from a guy who like literally like would eat cheese and sour cream and everything, just the thought of like, I mean, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can not eat this. Like, I just, it tastes so good on everything. But like, I like things like, especially in just like a 14, your 14-day cleanse. Like, I just like, okay, I'm going to cut out dairy and gluten for 7 days.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and I did that. And then I visually saw the difference. I was like, wow, this is like a challenge now. I want to go 14 days. And then it's like, okay, all right, well, I went 14 days. All right, I'll have a piece of pizza. Well, then I saw what it did, and I'm like, well, I don't want that. No. So it's like I try to think of it like you said, like with your workouts, is like challenges. And I don't like, not to get uncomfortable, but like I believe they would say it's like 21 days before you change a habit. You have to do something every day for 21 days. I mean, that for me is like it works for like everything I do. So it's like, okay, like I would never personally, I wouldn't go vegan or vegetarian, but I was like, okay, well, I can do 7 days with no meat. Like it's like. And then it's like, then when you get there, like you see the benefits, like, okay, I'll do 14 days. And then it's like, okay, then I'll add back in things, as I see fit. And I think that's where people get messed up because they're like, they say cleanse. It's like, oh God, I can starve myself for a week.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Well, that's just it. I mean, like I would say the more popular cleanses out there is the Master Cleanse, which is pretty much like a spicy lemonade. So if you've been exposed to the word cleanse, you might think of that kind of stuff or like the cabbage soup diet or all sorts of ridiculous stuff out there. The reality is that you could come up with a cleanse and call it the orange juice diet, and all you drank for 14 days was orange juice, and you would lose weight. Of course you would. You can do that with anything. But what we're trying to teach our members is that this is something that at least for 14 days is going to change your life. And as you said, when you start reintroducing certain foods after, you're going to notice them. Like, shit, I actually really feel tired after having that bread or, whatever it is. And you can start to make better decisions for yourself to say, okay, well, do I want to incorporate this back in? Maybe not. Or if so, maybe at a lower, to a lower extent. And now you have all these, we have 119 recipes in the program that are amazing. They take about, I'd say 80% of them take about 10 minutes to make. The other 20% take a little bit longer because they're just cooking on the stove, like the black bean chili. But when you experience how like the flavors and then how good you feel after eating these foods, it's just like, even if this is not the way you're going to eat forever, that's not our intention. But our intention is to help you understand you can incorporate healthier foods into your daily life. So even if you bring back the meat in, if you bring whatever you're bringing back into your diet, if you can still incorporate a lot more fruits and vegetables into your diet, and you can do so in a simple and delicious way. And you can sustain that because the key, like going on a cleanse for 10 days or 14 days, and then just reverting back to eating McDonald's. I mean, there's no point in doing that, right? So we want to help people create lasting change. And that's probably one of the things I'm proudest of with our program is that we've helped over 19,000 men and women in a lot of cases do that for several months. I mean, we had one lady that did our cleanse initially 4 years ago in January. In December, she sent us an email saying, normally at that time of year, her and her daughter baked cookies together, but she had been eating so well all year that she had made healthy alternatives for Christmas. So that's like 12 months later. So it's just such an amazing thing to see people transition into healthier eating. Again, it's not about being fanatical. It's just about experimenting with yourself, trying things, learning what works for your body, learning what doesn't, and then kind of creating your own stuff afterwards. And we're all on a different journey, right? We're all on a journey to see. There's no one diet that works for everyone. You and I eat the same food, we'll respond differently to it, right? So we need to identify how our body feels, and then opt for certain foods, and then avoid other ones.
And that comes back to it's experimentation in essence, and like especially me. I mean, I'm about to turn 30 this year, and I've experimented with so many different things. It's like now it's like I have such an educated okay, well that didn't really work out that well for me, but if I do this, and it's like I feel like people. They automatically rule things out before they even look into what it does. Like as soon as you hear the word cleanse, it's like, I mean, even me, I'm like, oh God. I think of little tiny women drinking out of a little juice cup, squeezing lemon in it, going, "That's all I can have for till four days from now." And it's like that just sounds awful. Nobody wants to do that. Even if it's to lose weight. I mean, it makes no sense. But it's like you're saying, it creates this habit of healthy, your year pretty much. So if you started today being January 2nd. You're still going to remember that if you spent the first 14 days of this year doing the total wellness cleanse, you're gonna be like, wow, I did that. Now it's like because of that, I eat gluten-free brownies,
Yeah.
or like just things like that. It's like I snack on rice cakes and salsa instead of, Doritos and salsa. It's like, and I can say that from experience because that's like, I get excited to eat gluten-free brownies or like gluten-free, sugar-free stuff, and then there's like whenever you find like a good alternative, it's like, oh, this is awesome. Like I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I'll give you a couple examples. We all know Tim Ferriss. But I think he's the epitome of self-experimentation. I was speaking with his girlfriend recently, and I was asking her how is it to live with somebody who experiments on himself all the time? And she's like, well, obviously it's interesting, but there's a lot to learn from that because all the books that he puts out. I mean, there's just so much knowledge that he's acquired himself just by experimenting. Like obviously he's at the extreme of injecting himself with different things, but I think it's not about like failing at something or succeeding at something. It's just about trying new things and understanding what works best for your body. Also, I don't know have you met Dr. Peter Osborne at all?
I've heard of him. I've not met him now.
Yeah, he's a good friend. And I'm telling you, this guy, I think he's in his early 40s, and if you look at him, you'd think he was 30. He's got I can't remember. I think he's got 3 or 4 kids, and he's a tank. Like you can't tell obviously but when you see him with like a tank top on or something, he's a truck. He's one of the cleanest eaters I've ever met.
Wow.
Craig Ballantyne, same thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Craig Ballantyne.
He's a truck. He's a tank as well. He's pretty much gluten free. He's clean. I mean, he basically follows the stuff we talk about in the cleanse day in and day out. There's a lot of examples of guys that are just really fit, really strong, but that are clean eaters. And that's the way I like to think about cleansing. It's more about clean eating as opposed to deprivation.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, especially it's funny you mentioned Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you see my bookshelf up there. I just got his 4-Hour Chef in the mail the other day.
Yeah, I just got it too. It's a great book.
Yeah, I'm like he said, and I had 4-Hour Body somehow got lost when I moved in with my girlfriend, so I don't know where that book went. But same thing. I mean, just the stuff that he goes through is just, for those listening, if you don't know Tim Ferriss, Google him and his books are amazing.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, I'm really psyched that you were able to get on the call with me today. I know we've been talking about it the whole time, but just a little run. The Total Wellness Cleanse. If you click around this video somewhere, there's going to be a link, and there's a link below. You can check it out. It's on sale right now, if I'm not mistaken, right, Yuri? Till Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being that this video is on YouTube, let me look at my calendar here. If you're seeing this after Friday the 4th, you're out of luck. You're going to pay full price. But oh, did I just turn my video off? Okay, no. But you have other products as well too, and I don't want just to be this. If you just want to get in, if you maybe you don't want to spend the cleanse is 2 payments of $77 right now. What is it normally?
Normally it's normally 3 payments of $79 or 3 payments of $77. So it's basically $100 off right now.
Oh, cool.
And so we're kind of just doing that as a kind of a kickoff to the New Year's celebration, and we're offering a ton of awesome bonuses all week. So it's just like a lot of incentive for people to get started. My mission is to help 10 million people by 2018 to have healthier and fitter lives. So if I have to ethically bribe people by giving them amazing bonuses, then I will do that because I know this program and our others will change their lives.
Exactly. And you also have your Eating for Energy too, which I mentioned earlier. That's another one. That's to basically take down Red Bull, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Pretty much. I think most of us want more energy. I think it's a pretty common trait amongst most humans. We can see within the energy drink industry, it's a several billion-dollar industry just in like Red Bull and fiber energy shots alone. But there's a problem with that stuff. It literally destroys your adrenal glands over time. So with Eating for Energy, again, it's not too dissimilar from the cleanse, but a little bit different. We show you how to revitalize your body's natural energy through food. Our guarantee is that you'll literally double your energy in 5 days, and we've done this with thousands of men and women. It's pretty amazing. Yeah,
that was actually the first program I got introduced to how you're thinking and just everything, and the smoothies in there that you have people drink are amazing. Like I tried a whole bunch of them. They're awesome tasting.
But it's funny because I bought a juicer for my brother for Christmas, and he's been juicing every day. It's like he has not even smoothies. Okay, he's made smoothies before, but just with the juicer, like every time I talk to him, he's just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe how amazing I feel. Like I have sustained energy all day. I don't go through I don't have the brain fog. I don't need an afternoon nap. It's just incredible, right?" So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I got to invest in it. What juicer do you give him? Did you give him a Breville, or is it a?
I personally have a Green Star, which is it actually looks like a sniper rifle, and it feels like you're putting together a sniper rifle when you're putting it together. The one I got from my brother is the Omega Vert 350. It's probably the best all-around juicer that I've come across. So if you want to juice like green leafy vegetables, like celery, beets, the whole variety, like fruits as well, that's probably the best all-around juicer. The one that I have is not very good for like citrus fruit, stuff like that. So, yeah.
And for people listening, you don't necessarily. I mean, I know juicer is an expense. I mean, it's an expense in your livelihood and your health. But for most people, you can do everything with a blender, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I think we've had 9 or 10 juice recipes in the cleanse that we recommend on certain days. But we also realize that a lot of people don't have juicers. So for the most part, you can make those juices in blended form. There's some cases where, if we call for celery, you may not want to blend as much celery because it just comes out a little bit thick and stringy.
Yeah.
But you can pretty much follow the recipes in a blender without a problem.
Cool, good to know there. And I mean, I know there's a lot of deals on juicers as well now. I mean, you can get the power juicer, I think, at Walmart now and Walgreens. I've seen it here in the States.
Yeah, you can get a really good juicer for, I mean, less than $100. It's and that's going to last you for several years. So it's one of the best investments you can make in yourself.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Yuri, for coming on. And for those guys listening, check out the links below. Check out Yuri's programs. If you're watching this before Friday at midnight, definitely take him up on that, $100 off. I mean, and the cool bonuses. So thanks a lot, Yuri, for your time, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Talk to you soon.
All right, man.